We be stacking Morgan silver dollars over standard silver bullion. And do the Morgans have an advantage over that bullion? We're going to talk about that and a lot more, so make sure you stay tuned. YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. Hope you guys are doing well, and as always, I'd like to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to be with me here on this beautiful fall day on the East Coast in North Carolina. The support you've given the channel has been fantastic, and you already know the next line. Best damn community on YouTube. Yes, even with the little bit of drama that's been going on behind the scenes, but that's just a small part of this community, and we have far more good folks here than bad eggs, bottom line. There are some, however, who need to man up and acknowledge that they have some issues that need to be rectified, and they should probably respect others in the process. Now, I'm not personally involved in this, and I have no plans of getting involved other than this, and that's to say that person needs to get off social media and deal with your issues. That's all I'm going to say on that. If you know, you know. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of silver dollars, specifically Morgan silver dollars, and if we should be stacking them over standard silver bullion. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and roll this thing.
You're killing me, Smalls.
So let's talk about Morgans first. You already know this, but I'll just bring it up. Morgans have a silver content of a little over 0.77 ounces, so a touch over 3/4 of an ounce of silver in each. And that doesn't account for wear and tear, loss of silver, yada yada. So keep that amount of silver content in mind when you're considering these, if you already weren't in the know. Now, I just got into these myself about a year ago, and I'm just trying to fill dates with the best examples I can find. I am not concerned about them being absolutely pristine, nor do I want them slabbed. I want them raw, but I do want them to at least be solid. I want them to be in nice condition. I like to roll these around and hear them clang against each other. Reality is this: one of the best sounds in the world, guys. That's the sound of real money. Now, we all know the Morgan dollar is named after George T. Morgan, who designed it. And in today's time, a lot of us love these silver dollars, right? And we consider them one of the best designs of 90% ever. But I'll tell you, when it first came out, it was extremely unpopular. People made fun of it. They hated it. They called it the buzzard dollar because of the shape of the eagle's head and his scrawny appearance. Now, the coin was also called a cartwheel for its large size and weight. But when it comes down to it, the proper numismatic term for the Morgan silver dollar is Liberty Head silver dollar. Now, the general rule, with a few exceptions, is that common date Morgans that grade below AU 50 are only worth their silver bullion value. Now, of course, there are going to be exceptions, especially for Morgan dollars minted at Carson City. But try finding a dealer who's selling them at melt. That's not going to happen, even with culls. Not generally, anyway. You might find one here and there. They may buy poor condition Morgans from you at melt, but they're definitely not going to let them go at that price. And here's something I wasn't aware of until recently. This really blew me away. I didn't know because, like I said, I just got into these not too long ago. But a huge portion of Morgan dollars on the market today, all the ones you see today, never actually circulated as regular coinage. That's unbelievable. And the main reason is that the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these things during the 1800s, way more than what was needed to meet the demands of commerce. So they sat in vaults for over 100 years. And for the longest time, Morgans, hell, they were just winning coins at Las Vegas casinos. They were used in slot machines and other gambling devices. So going back to 1898, Congress approved a bill that required all remaining bullion that was purchased under the Sherman Silver Act to be coined into silver dollars. And when those reserves were depleted in 1904, well, the mint stopped striking the Morgan dollar. Then the Pittman Act was passed in 1918, and that authorized the melting and recoining of millions of silver dollars. And pursuant to that act, Morgan dollars resumed mintage for 1 year, just 1 year in 1921. So the design was eventually replaced by the peace dollar later that year. Now, 1921 Morgans, they came from 3 mints. You're going to find them in Philadelphia, San Fran, and one you rarely hear about but issued a ton of them, and that's Denver, who minted more than 20 million Morgans. But in the end, millions of Morgan silver dollars sat in government vaults for decades. There were still plenty of them to go around since they only circulated in a few small areas. But here's where it gets crazy, guys. Somewhere in about 1960, right around 1960, coin dealers started becoming aware that the Treasury was swapping Morgan dollars that were more than 80 years old on a dollar-for-dollar basis in exchange for silver certificates. You guys remember those? A lot of the dealers were just after the silver bullion at lower than market cost, but a few savvy ones started to realize the potential collector value of these 60 to 80-year-old mint state silver dollars. They were pristine other than some bag damage. Now, tens of millions of Morgans were bought at face value until 1964, and that's when the Treasury shut down the silver certificate exchange program. And wrapping up the history, the Treasury had about 2.9 million Morgans left in 1964, and most of those were the Carson City specimens, which the GSA put up for public sale through mail bid auctions starting right around 1972. Now, by 1980, as supplies dwindled, the public finally became interested in collecting the Morgan dollar. But the real feeding frenzy, that came when an amazing hoard of more than 400,000 Morgans were found in the basement of a Nevada guy. And after his death in 1975, they were discovered. They've been collected strongly since then. Demand has been strong. And that's a brief synopsis on Morgans. The one thing Morgans do is test whether you're a silver stacker or a numismatic silver collector. You may be both like me. All right, let's go over the pros and cons really quickly of stacking Morgans. We're going to keep this list short. I actually have to head to the coast here in a little bit. Got some work to do. We're going to start with the pros. Number one, they are a part of American history. Some of the most iconic Western figures might have held that very coin that you now own. Well, they are a direct connection to our past, whereas a silver eagle has value, but not a lot of history. Beautiful in its own right, for sure, but no history, really. Number two, they seem to hold value even when the price of silver and 90% silver drops. And we talked about it a few minutes ago. Dealers don't generally drop the prices on Morgans. Number three, you just can't duplicate the reverence a Morgan holds. It could quite literally be the king of silver dollars. Number four, there are a lot of rare Morgans to chase, and some tail feather variations and die variations. There are tons to keep you interested for a long time. All right, let's take a look at the cons of stacking Morgans. Number one, premiums. Premiums. Even a decently worn Morgan is going to average about $25 to $30 on average each. Depends on your LCS. Number two, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to be a completist for these due to the rarity of some years, including the Carson City issues. Money is definitely going to be a factor as far as completing these go. Number three, questionable liquidity. You might not make back what you have in them when you go to sell, at least at a dealer. You're better off going the peer-to-peer sales. Number four, this is unfortunate. According to Annax, 80% of Morgan dollars have been cleaned. Yikes, that sucks. Number five, they're highly faked. This is one right here. Highly faked. And they're not bad as far as the details go. You can tell if you have any clue what you're doing, but please be careful with these. Number six, common date Morgan silver dollars, a grade below AU50, are typically only going to be worth their silver content value. We talked about that in the beginning. The exception would be the Carson City Morgans. And number seven, many of the Morgans on the market today were never actually circulated. We talked about that earlier. It kind of takes the oomph out of collecting Morgans, knowing so many of them don't actually have a history. Now, when I hold old coins in my hand, I like to think about the history and, well, the stories they could tell if they can only talk. That's the cool part of it. But that aspect of it pretty much doesn't apply to absolutely millions of Morgans out there. Kind of stinks when you think about it. So, taking the pros and cons into consideration, I look at it like this. This is it. Stacking, quote-unquote, stacking Morgans makes about as much sense to me as buying graded and slabbed silver bullion coins. Collect them? Absolutely. I love them. Collect them. Stack them? I just don't see the advantages to it, honestly. So I'm going to personally stick to stacking standard silver bullion, even if they don't have the prestige of our old 90% silver coins. Now, you may see it differently, and if you do, be sure to comment down below and let me know why you stack them. I do agree that the numismatic value behind Morgans does make them special. It really does. But far too many of them just don't have that special value going for them, and it boils down to melt value. All right, there you have it. So those are my opinions on stacking Morgans. Again, for me personally, I'm going to stick to just collecting the dates that I need, and I will not be stacking them. It makes far more sense to me to go for silver bullion if that's the case. You're getting far more silver for your buck, even if they don't have the numismatic value of the Morgans. It's just about stacking more weight when it comes down to stacking. That's what stacking's all about. Collect them? Yeah. Stack them? Not for me. Now, all that said, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. I do have a blast going through them, and I try to respond to each one. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. And if you made it this far, well, kudos to you. I'll definitely catch up with you in the next episode. But in the meantime, you know what's up.
What do you want to do with your life?
Damn right. It's stacked. Stay safe and be well, everyone. I am out of here. Peace, folks.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.